My name is Leah Huggins. I'm a wife, a mother, and a proud U.S. Navy veteran. After 2 tours to Iraq, my husband was diagnosed with PTSD. My world spiraled out of control as fear, anxiety, doubt, and depression took over. I gave my life to Christ, took on a new mindset, and let go of the negativity of my past. I now help wives to find healing, encouragement, and strategy to overcome the effects of PTSD on their daily lives and in their marriage. So come on in and let's talk about it. Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. This is the place where I empower women and encourage them to take back their life as I give them the tools that are needed for self-love, growth, and resilience. I am your host, Coach Leah, and I'm so glad you joined us today. So I am so excited about today's show, okay? To begin with, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is gifts and talents and entrepreneurship. I absolutely love talking about this topic because it answers the question, what am I here for? On top of all of that, we have an amazing guest today. She is a wife, she's a mother, she's a pastor, and she's a serial entrepreneur, y'all, okay? She, along with her husband, Pastor Greg Magee, lead the Empowerment Ministries Christian Center in Gulfport, Mississippi, and they are a big church doing big things. They are really making a difference in their community. So I'm so glad to have her on the show. Y'all help me welcome First Lady Irene Magee. Yay!
Hey, everybody.
Thank you so much, First Lady, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking time out to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So I want to give the people a chance to get to know you. Can you tell them a little bit about yourself and where you're from? And tell them about your family and your ministry as well, too.
So I am originally a military brat. My dad was in the Army, so I traveled all around until I landed in Philadelphia, Mississippi with my grandmother. So I graduated in Philadelphia, Mississippi, went to Hattiesburg to the University of Southern Mississippi after I spent 2 years in the Army myself.
Wow.
And I met my husband there. We dated for about a year. We got married and we lived there for a while. And then we moved to the coast in 2000. So I've been here for almost 25 years almost 25 years. It'll be 25 years in June. So I've been on the coast for 25 years. I'm a retired teacher. I'm a mom of 5, 6. I have 1 angel. I am a grandmother and I've been married for 25 years. And I'm a retired teacher. I have a snowball stand. I have a t-shirt business, which is pretty inactive, but I'll still make things for myself. I have a tax business. I am a realtor, and I still tutor on the side, even though I don't teach anymore. I think that's
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Every time I think of you, I think about you remember. I'm dating myself now. You remember Living Color when they say, "Hey, man, time to go to work." That's what that's what that reminds me of. Because you are in some of everything, and I love it. I can't wait to get into it here a little bit later on the show. So a little known fact: my family always refers to your husband as the runner. And the reason that we do that is that the very first time we ever heard him preach, he came to our church and he begins his message. And while he's talking, he starts changing his shoes. And he's still talking and he's putting these tennis shoes on. And then he's still talking. And the next thing you know, he's taking off his jacket and he's got on like running clothes. So he's giving the message and he starts jogging in place while he's actually preaching. And he preached the whole time jogging. It was like an hour or so. And he was jogging. And so I think the message that night was talking about running the race that's set before you. So it was just really good. And so from that point forward, whenever we talk about EMCC, we always say, oh, that's the runner's church, the runner. So he is an amazing teacher. I really love listening to him preach and the way he breaks the word down in a way that's so unique that you can understand it and apply it to your life. So shout out to Pastor Greg.
Oh, yeah, he is definitely a master teacher. He is a student of the word. I think that man probably studies 100 hours a week at least.
Awesome. Goals. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm definitely happy to have you here today because I want to talk about your story. I'm interested in your journey. Now, you said by trade you're a teacher. That's right. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're a teacher. So how did you get started in entrepreneurship and how did you get to the point where you started creating multiple businesses?
So I was a teacher for quite some time,
Mhm.
and my husband kept telling me that I could come off the job. I did teaching for part time 1 year when I had my third child. I taught half a day, and I got off every day at 11:30, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
We were just in the beginning of starting the ministry, so it was like wonderful for me at that particular time. And then I went back to work full time, and by then I had 5 kids, and it was rough. So
Yeah.
he kept telling me that I could come off the job, and Imma be honest, I was fearful. I was afraid to come off the job because my identity was wrapped in being a teacher. I
Mhm.
didn't know what I could do outside of that. I went to school, I was good at it, I was effective, I was top scorer, my students scored the top, and I was impactful.
Yeah.
And, I kept getting prophecy after prophecy that I was supposed to come out of the classroom, that I wasn't gonna be teaching, like, people who didn't even know me,
Mm.
and I was still very timid. So after I had my last child, I got very ill, deathly ill, back in the hospital, and when I went back to work, they had shifted my position around, given my job to somebody else, moved me to another school. It was like everything was inconvenienced and uncomfortable, and I still was trying to teach.
Yeah.
It was taking a toll on me, especially emotionally and mentally,
Mm.
and so that's what really pushed me out. God had told me to do it. Prophecies had come forth over and over again. My husband had told me, but I still wouldn't obey until I was forcefully obeying
Uh-oh.
because it was either lose my mind
Yeah.
or leave that job, and that's what caused me to step away from a 19-year career and, um, and come home and start doing what I did part-time at the time. I did taxes just for fun. I
Yeah.
am a mathematician. My degree is in mathematics. I have a minor in general science, so I have a minor in computer science, chemistry, and biology, and I have a major in mathematics. So I love math. I love numbers.
Yeah.
So I was always good at it, but I did taxes on the side, even through college, because I did my grandmother's book. She was an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So I did her books as a teenager because people were charging her so much. So I learned how to do taxes doing my grandmother's. Then when I went to college, I picked up a few more clients. And so I've been doing it for over 30 years. But when I stopped teaching full time, I went full time into my tax business. So that's my beginning journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, wow. And one job is enough. So, as far as dealing with, all the stress that comes with it. But you have had you do multiple businesses. So where do you think that drive comes from? I heard you talk about your grandmother and she was an entrepreneur as well. What examples did you have growing up in your home that drive came from?
Well, I think it's definitely in my blood. My grandmother was just one of many generations of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
My family, dating back to my triple great grandfather, was an entrepreneur. He was a farmer. They had plenty of land. And although they were during the slave time, they actually, did sharecropping and sold,
Oh,
different crops and things like that. So it's in my blood from way back,
wow.
generations. But my grandmother, yes, she was. She was an entrepreneur. My great grandfather, he sold moonshine and cotton and all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
it was embedded in me. Like I said, I lived with my grandmother for part of my life. So I saw her working for herself. I saw her grinding and getting it. So it was me. Although I was teaching and working for somebody else, it was always back there in me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, I believe it was January of last year. I began to see on social media that a lot of your church members, including yourself and your husband, you all began to release and announce these new businesses and services and products and books and journals and planners and podcasts and groups. I saw prayer challenges and people reviving their businesses. And it was so inspiring to see that. And I said, oh, they doing big things over there at EMCC. I was excited. So where did that idea come from to do that as a group? And what was the process like to keep everyone going, keeping them on track and moving towards the goal to release in the next year?
Well, my husband has done a series on it before, about business and entrepreneurship. So that was part of it. But really, we try to support one another.
Yeah.
And they make jokes at our church and they say, we have a fivefold ministry. They say you're going to write a book, you're going to get married, you're going to have a baby, you're going to have a business, and then you're going to buy a house. Those are the five things they say you're going to do if you come to EMCC. And it's just quite funny. It's just a joke, but we encourage and we support one another. That's one thing I will say that we do, whether it's somebody selling lemonade or journals, or whether somebody has a book or a Bible study journal or whatever. We do what we can to support one another and build up the kingdom.
Yeah, I love that. And I see that on there, you supporting your members as well, too. I see that, and that's inspiring. So what do you think are some good character traits that entrepreneurs need in order to be successful?
You need to definitely be a hard worker. I think a lot of people think entrepreneurship is easy and that, oh, I'll have all my free time. I'll do this, I'll do that. But no, it is very hard work. You have to be
Yeah.
self-motivated. You
Mm,
can't be lazy at all. You have to be willing to sacrifice. There's some times where you're up half the night,
mm,
especially in the beginning. I think a lot of people have this fantasy about entrepreneurship, but sometimes I feel like you have to work a 9 to 5 and be an entrepreneur to build your business. Like I said, I was doing taxes and I had a clientele of about 75 people before I quit teaching and went full time. So
mm,
it wasn't like I just quit my job without a plan. I
mm,
actually had a clientele already. Talked to my clientele, told them that I was increasing my price because it was no longer a hobby, but it was going to be my career. I stepped out on faith. I lost some clients. I gained some clients, over the last, because that was Nate is 11. So that was 11 years ago when I stepped away from the classroom to become a full-time entrepreneur.
Wow, yeah. In childhood, we're taught how to dream. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter, a designer, an engineer. What do you think happens to that drive? Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we give up on the dream. Like, what is it that keeps people from being able to release what God has put in them?
I really think that it's their surroundings. I mean, I
Mm,
think that it's who you have pushing you. Sometimes it's the friends that you get around that are a discouragement to you, or sometimes it's maybe your parents don't push you, to be able to do everything that's placed on the inside of you.
yeah.
For me, my grandmother always told me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. She never discouraged me from being able to be anything.
Mm,
And I've never discouraged my children from whatever career they chose or thing that they wanted to do. I've always backed them. So I think that it's important to have people in your corner that are going to help push you and
yeah.
help push the vision and carry those things that are birthed in the inside of you. Of course, when we're small, we just want to be what we see. And
Yeah.
we don't see the possibility of there being anything else. Nobody really births in their children, oh, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be independent. Nobody ever really does that for their children, especially in our culture anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at another culture, maybe the Asian culture or other cultures, they teach their children at a young age how to work, how to be entrepreneurs. I see them in the nail salon working, helping, doing things.
Yeah.
I've seen them in restaurants working, helping, doing things. And so for me, that's one thing that I've instilled in my children. When I was doing the t-shirt business, we all made t-shirts. Everybody had a job, even if it was my small baby who was picking up the trash that we were weeding the shirts out. Or, with the snowball stand, I don't even have to work it. My kids can run that snowball stand just as effectively as I can
Yeah.
without me even stepping foot on there. The only time I really work it now is if one of them can't work it or if it's going to be a big crowd and they just need some extra hands.
Yeah.
So I think that pushing our children and showing them something different. Because again, as a kid, you only want to be what you see. You see
Mhm.
firefighters, they come to the school. You
Mhm.
see doctors because you go visit the doctor. You see teachers. But
Mhm.
then there's so much more that they aren't exposed to. So I would even say maybe exposure.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely your environment is important and what you see, what you're exposed to. That's exactly right. That's a great answer. So, I want to go back to the basics. The basics. Can we talk a little bit about the difference between having a gift and being talented? And what's the importance of developing your skills for both of those?
Well, when I think about having a gift,
Mhm.
I think about something that God gave you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I was just having a conversation with several people in the last couple weeks, but one person in particular I was having a conversation with,
Yeah.
and I was saying, God has given you the ability to obtain wealth. There are gifts in your hand. And oftentimes we see other people doing things and we say, oh, she's a successful coach. I want to be a coach.
Mhm.
Or, oh, he's a successful author. I want to be an author. And I really can't spell. Or I'm
Yeah.
really not, I'm timid and I don't like to talk to people. When God has given you a gift, you need to operate in that gifting and in that calling so that you can be successful at doing it. And so to me, a gift is something that's God given talent. I mean, you can pick that up,
Mhm.
from anywhere. You can learn how to do anything. You can watch a YouTube video and you can learn how to do something. That doesn't mean that you're gifted to do it. And that doesn't mean that you're called to do it. So I think
Mhm.
that a gift is something that God is really giving you to do. And that's what I wanna operate in. I can be good at doing some things, but that doesn't mean that that's what I'm called to do, and I
Yeah.
think many times people try to operate in what they aren't called to do.
That's true. That's true. My daughter, it's kind of funny. She learned how to play the piano. Long story short, she taught herself how to play the piano by watching YouTube, and she plays for the church now. But it's so funny that she started at the same time that my mom. My mom was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna learn how to play with you," and my mom, that is not her gift. Let me just say it that way. That is not her gift, but it's exactly what you said. When you're gifted to do it, there's a grace behind it that comes with it.
Naturally.
Yes, naturally. Yeah, my mom, she doesn't have that gift. That's not her gift. She's gifted in other things. All right. So I want to talk about self-discovery. I feel that self-discovery is so important when it comes to purpose. I think that before you set out to find out what you're here for, you need to first start out by finding who you are. Find out who you are. Like really get to know yourself and finding out your identity. Your daily job is not always tied to your purpose. So, how do we go about that journey of self discovery and finding out who you are and what you're made for? How do we discover the gifts that God put inside of us?
Well, I would say to that, first of all, you gotta know who you are in Him.
Hmm.
We try to oftentimes make our identity about like I said earlier, my identity was solely and completely wrapped around being a teacher
Yeah.
because that was what I did every single day.
Hmm.
But it wasn't all that God had placed on the inside of me. So when you really find out your worth and you really find out who you are in Him, who God says that you are, then it's easy for you to step out and do the things that He's called you to do. And so for me, it was stepping away from the classroom, spending more time with God in order for me to hear His voice more clearly. And then I could see what I was called to do. I could see why I'm here. Now, gift assessments and tests and all those things, they're good, they're necessary. I use them, I use them for people.
Hmm.
But getting to know God is gonna help you even more to understand why you're here. You
Yeah.
know, my husband says all the time, the thing that bothers you the most is probably your purpose and your
Mm.
passion.
Yeah.
Like, see a problem with something, that's probably because you're meant to solve that particular problem.
Yeah.
But I feel like the closer you get to God, the more you realize what you were here for, what you were created to do.
Yeah, yeah. And along that same line, how can you tell the difference between a good idea and a God idea?
Well, you
Because
know,
I have plenty of good ideas.
yeah,
They ain't
a
always
lot of
God.
times we'll blame God for everything, or we'll say God said, and it really isn't God.
Yes.
What I want to say about that is, we have to be okay with the fact that I just want to try this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Stop putting God's name on everything, because when we put God's name on stuff, we first of all make him look like a liar when it fails.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be like, I want to try this. This is something I've always wanted to do. You don't have to put God's name on it,
Yeah.
because you don't make him look bad if it doesn't work out. And so, to me, a good idea is something that you might want to just try. It's not a heaven or hell issue. It's just something that you want to step out on faith and do. But
Yeah.
a God idea is gonna always follow. It's never gonna fail.
Mhm.
When it's God, it's never gonna fail. He's always gonna make provision for the ideas that he gives you. When I think about a God idea, I think about that, you know, it causes you no harm. Like, when I think about a God idea, I'm trying to think of the particular scripture, that it brings no sorrow, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The blessings of the Lord maketh rich and
And
adds
have
no
no
sorrow.
sorrow. Yeah.
And so when I think about a God idea, that's what I think about, that it's not gonna bring sorrow to my life. It's not gonna,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna have to make it happen. I'm not gonna have to. God is gonna make provision and give provision for every single thing that he does. But when you gotta provide and you gotta make the provision every
Mhm.
single time, I wonder, is this really God, or is this me forcing something to happen that God never intended for it to happen to begin with?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. And another thing, a God idea is not necessarily an easy. It's not easy just because God wants you to do it. So it's still gonna be work
Oh,
regardless.
most definitely. I ain't never said it was easy. I mean, like, what? But
Yes.
he's gonna reveal step by step. He may not give you all the pieces to it to
Yeah.
begin with, if it's a
Mhm.
God idea. But if you trust him and then you obey step by step, he's gonna unfold it as you're
Mhm.
being obedient.
Yeah, yeah. So, my next question kind of falls right in line with that. I'm a visionary. I'm always getting a good idea. Always have a new idea for a product or a service. I can see it in my mind. I can see the impact that it'll have. And I'll get to work on it. I'm a really strong starter, right? But somewhere down the line, I either lose interest or I get distracted or I'll get discouraged, and I end up not finishing what I start. So, what advice can you give to someone that's what I call a serial starter, that has trouble following through with things?
Well, first and foremost, I would probably say make sure that it's God.
There you go.
Um I would say make sure that it's God, but I'd also say, who's on your team? Like, who do you
Mm,
have surrounding you that are gonna help you not to drop the ball,
right.
or that is gifted in a particular area that can help carry it? You might be the visionary, but then you got somebody who will be the one who will follow through. And then that person may not be able to take it much further, but wherever they drop or they stop, then you've got another person who has the funding to be able to do it. So you need people surrounded. That's why you can't be the sharpest pencil in the pack. You need
Mhm.
people around you that are going to help to hold up your hands, your errands and your hers,
Yeah.
that'll help follow through and bring visions to pass, especially when they're God ideas. You're going to need people. It's not going to just be you. He's going to use people, which is why it's important not to isolate yourself from other people, but to surround yourself with people who also are workers as well, so that you're not just left carrying the load by themselves. But I tell people all the time now, don't bring me no idea if you ain't bring me no hands to help carry it through.
There
I
you
don't
go.
need no more work.
That is
I'm the
that is
one who will
good.
push it. Like,
Yeah.
don't bring me no more work. Oh, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let me get a committee together so
Yeah.
that we can bring this to pass. Oh, you want to have a women so and so? That sounds great. Well,
Yeah.
let me see who wants to volunteer to help bring this to pass. I
Yeah.
might have this person who does the flyer. I might have this person, who does the legwork and calls to see how much these buildings are. And then I got this person who's doing this. And I got one who say, just tell me how much money I need to pay. I'll help write a check. But
Right.
together we come together and we make it happen. So you need some people around you that are
Yeah.
gonna help. first of all, I'd be like, friend, I don't think that's a good idea.
Right.
So, or those people who are saying, I got you. Yes,
Yeah.
I can see it too. Who sees your vision other than you?
Wow. That you all up in my business. And that was a community. You have to have a community. That's good word. Good word. I love that. So there's a story in the Bible. It's in the book of Nehemiah. It's about Nehemiah.
Mhm.
He was building a wall, and in his mind, Nehemiah was able to envision the wall being finished. And he was passionate about it because he knew how much it meant to Jerusalem and what that was going to do for them and their well-being. And he had to be able to see it in his mind before it became a reality. So can you talk to me a little bit about creativity and the ability to think outside the box and see the possibilities of what could be when it comes to developing your business and the goods and services that you provide?
When I created Nicey Icy Snowballs, I created it as a solution to a problem.
Okay.
Okay. So when I created it, it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Our church was doing some things to try to get people together and to continue to have community because we're big on community and fellowship at EMCC.
Mhm.
And so one of the weeks we had something that I called Ice Cream Sunday. And we just sent a mass text out. We asked the members to come in, come up to the church grounds. And then one family at a time could go up to the ice cream truck and get ice cream. Well, when I realized, first of all, how much money we paid this ice cream truck to come from Pensacola to here, I was like, I need to buy an ice cream truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was like, becoming more conscious about people's cleanliness. Like I'm always kind of like, but COVID like really took me over the edge,
Yeah.
the cleanliness. And so I started seeing things like people scratching their heads and licking their fingers and not washing their hands, making snowballs and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so I remember I started driving all the way to Long Beach because I couldn't find a clean snowball stand anywhere around.
Mhm.
I kept seeing stuff. And so long story short, uh I couldn't afford the ice cream truck. It was too expensive, but I started doing research into the snowball truck
Yeah.
because that was one of the only things. So food trucks began to get really popular over COVID because people didn't want to be inside anywhere.
Right.
So the problem was people didn't have anything to do. So that's when I bought and I started my snowball business.
Opportunity.
And yeah, so I saw the opportunity. I was creative with the name,
Yeah.
then with getting it done. And I did it as a solution to a problem that I saw. The
Mhm.
problem was people weren't wanting to be inside in places.
Right.
Solution was I could provide something outside, but not only that, I could provide something that was clean,
Yes.
good product, and that was clean and that people could trust in the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
And so that's how I did that. So um just thinking outside the box. One thing I will say about being an entrepreneur that many people don't realize is you have to be willing to shift when times shift. So
Yeah.
before COVID happened, one of my streams of income was a summer camp. I hosted a summer camp with about 50 or 60 kids every summer, about 12 employees. It was an amazing summer camp.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because I was over it, but I knew what we put into it and I knew what the kids got out of it every year.
Yeah.
And so when that stream of income closed, I had to be willing to shift. What can I do now?
Mhm.
Because summer camp is not a thing anymore. People don't want their kids confined. People ain't going to no summer camp.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to shift because there is a such thing as an oversaturated market when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So for instance, when I was making t-shirts, I was one of the first people on the coast who was making t-shirts. Now, everybody makes t-shirts.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
not the business that you would want to start right now.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to do one or two things. You got to be willing to shift with the time. So I could still make t-shirts. However, I would have had to invest more money and more equipment to do the new thing because
Yeah.
people weren't doing as much vinyl anymore. And then they were doing sublimation. And about the sublimation, then I didn't have time to do that. So I
Yeah.
sold that. So you have to be willing to shift when the market changes. You got to say, what is the next problem?
Mhm.
What can I solve now? Because there's now a new problem.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did with the snowball business. And sometimes you got to shift that again and do something else.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when it's cold, people don't eat snowballs. So
Yeah.
I've thought about changing it to a cocoa in a coffee trailer, a
Yeah.
portable cocoa in a coffee trailer when it's cold outside. things like that. You got to be willing to shift,
Yes.
come up with new ideas to make money because it's not going to always be the same. Whether you're, selling snowballs, whether you're taking pictures, whether you're taking t-shirts, there's going to become a time when what you're doing becomes oversaturated because everybody sees people doing it. And if people see people doing it and they think they're making money, they're going to want to do the same thing.
Yep.
So you got to be willing to shift.
That's good. That was a good answer. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, people jump on that bandwagon and then you have to find what makes you different and stand out. And like you say, it's just time to shift. Find what's next. Yeah, that's good. So, at what point in the development process of your business or of your gifts, I'm sorry, not your business, at what point in the development process do you think it's safe to monetize your gift? Like, at what point can you say, I've developed enough and I think I can get paid for doing this now?
Um, that's a funny question because
Uh-huh.
people come out the gate wanting to monetize everything.
Right.
I see people on social media, if somebody has a problem with so-and-so, "Oh, I can do that, what you need? Oh, I can do that."
Mhm.
Really, you can't.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Not
Like,
qualified.
one thing I would say is if you were looking for that particular, um, thing, if you
Service.
were looking
Uh-huh.
for that
Yeah.
particular I don't know if I wanna say thing, but if you were looking for that particular service,
Mhm. Mhm.
would you hire you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, or would you be like, "No, I don't want people who are late." Like, if you're late all the time, would you
Mhm.
hire yourself or do you want somebody who's gonna be on time?
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
Yeah.
that's one thing. If you wouldn't hire yourself and you wouldn't be willing to pay yourself what you're trying to charge other people,
Yeah.
then maybe, you shouldn't be monetizing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
Another
ready yet.
thing is, yeah, like, are you proficient in that gift? Like, how
Mhm.
proficient are you? For instance, in making t-shirts. If you take them and you wash them and they peel off the first time you wash them, you shouldn't probably be selling that yet. You should be perfecting that
Yeah.
particular skill before you start doing it.
Yeah.
And I think too many times we so ready to make money. Sometimes you got to give away some money to make some money.
That's
You got to
right.
give away free samples. You got to do and get your name out there first. And you can't just get out the gate swinging, expecting to make what everybody else is making who's been doing it 10 years or 20 years.
Mm.
You got to sometimes lowball yourself to build yourself a clientele in order to be able to do and make what other people are doing.
Yep, exactly, exactly. Oh, that was good. So I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about family. As a wife and a mother, how do you balance your family and your career? Like, how do you pour into one without taking from the other?
It's very easily to become distracted. It's very easy to become off balance.
Mhm.
You're trying to do things. It really depends on the age and the stage of your children and what they're doing and what their needs are. When you have a small child, you have to spend more time with that particular child than you do when you got teenage children who are more independent and want to do things that they want to do anyway. For me, um, I try to keep that balance because number one of the reasons why I am an entrepreneur is so that I never have to miss what my children are doing.
Yeah.
So it requires sacrifice. Like you got to be willing to sacrifice. I might have to go and be with my kids, but I might have to stay up late that night and do some things that I want to do, or that I need to do for my business once I've spent that time with my children during the daytime. There's some non-negotiables for me.
Yeah.
Worship non-negotiable. I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not missing church to go make the money.
Yep.
Point blank, period. You know, there's some times where I have to miss some of the things that my kids have going on,
Mhm.
but it's going to be far and few in between. Like we were in Dubai. This trip was already planned. I didn't know when my son was going to have games, so I missed some of those games.
Yeah.
The other week, we did a funeral for the little 4-year-old little girl. My son had a game today. He understands things like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But as far as just because I'm tired or just because I want to do what I want to do, absolutely not. I make my family a priority. I make worship and I make my family a priority. And I try not to allow to let that go lacking.
Yeah.
Even if that means that I'm tired because I'm pushing past it, or I'm tired because I'm doing something else,
Mhm.
late at night when I could have got it done during the daytime.
Yeah, that's good. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of having a supportive spouse and the effect that that can have on your business?
Yes. So my husband and I would say that we support each other 100% in everything.
Awesome.
Whether it's ministry, whether it's taxes, he can't do taxes. But if I'm going out of town and checks drop, he knows how to print the checks and pass out
Yeah.
the check. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm busy or I'm doing something and I got a check that's printed, I can leave it there with him and he'll hand it out for somebody. Or if somebody needs to drop off paperwork and I'm not in a position to be there, he's gonna collect that paperwork and make sure that I get it. Same thing when it comes to ministry. Whatever idea he has, I'm pushing it. When he was going to school, he didn't have to say, but I'm ready to go back to school. His financial aid was filled out.
Yeah.
Think that it is so vitally important
Mhm.
that we take into account what the other person's needs are, wants are, and help support their visions. And my
Yeah.
husband, me, from the women's conference, he's behind the scenes working, moving, making it happen, whatever I want to happen,
Yeah.
and vice versa for him, whether it's him being in school, working on his doctorate, whether
Mhm.
it's him writing a book, whatever he needs, we support one another 100%. I believe in the scripture that says that a house that's divided against itself cannot stand. And I
Mhm.
believe that that's more than just money, but that means in every area we have to hold each other's hands up. If we can't hold each other up, then how do we expect somebody else on the outside to do it? So I believe that it's very vitally important in everything, in raising your children, in finances, in ministry, in extracurricular, or whatever it is that you do. I would say that I'm blessed in that area because we support each other 100%. It's not, well, this is your business or
Yeah.
this is. We make jokes sometimes. He'd be like, I'd be like, this your church,
Yeah.
but we're in this together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's something about being able to work well together. When I was catering, I remember my husband, he was my griller. I call him the grill master. So cuz he don't play when it come to the grill. But he would help me out, as far as the catering goes. And it was good. We worked well together. Now, I will say, we together certain things, like he would fuss and tell me what I was doing wrong in the moment, and it was like, you can't wait until after we, when we can talk about it when I'm not under the pressure. But that's it. He always had my back when it came to catering and things like that. And he was always there. We just had to work on his people skills when it comes to me and doing that. But it's nothing like having a spouse that supports you. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Hmm. So life by itself, it can be stressful, especially as a woman, where we have everyone and everything pulling on us at the same time. Like we say, I'm every woman, I can do it all, I can have it all. And we carry the weight of the shoulder. I'm sorry, we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And I like to say you can have it all, you can do it all, just not at the same time. So, as an entrepreneur, especially having multiple businesses, how do you create balance and not get overwhelmed?
So for me, sometimes I do get overwhelmed. I can't even tell that lie. I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't superwoman. I do get overwhelmed sometimes when I have it seems like too much on my plate. One thing that I do is I let my family know, like, hey, this is my busy season. Like right now it's tax season.
Mhm.
So I need y'all to step up a little bit more around the house. I need you to help more with your siblings so I don't have to stop what I'm doing, to go pick them up.
Mhm.
Or I need you to step up with the laundry a little bit more around the house. I'm open and I'm honest with the people who are closely connected to me, especially in my household, that this is my busy season. And in order for me to be able to do what I need to do for our family, I need you to step up on your responsibilities when it comes to the family. And you have to be open and honest. Like, if you don't, then you're frustrated because you just assume that they know that you're busy
Yeah.
and they should be stepping up when we really just should have a conversation like, hey, this is very stressful time for me and I need you to step up and do your part. And I think that that's what helps keep me from being overwhelmed as often is when I'm open and I'm honest and I communicate and tell people, hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes it's a hard thing to do because you don't wanna seem weak or you don't wanna seem like,
Mhm.
you can't do it by yourself or, you don't I don't know what it is. It's pride, that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, and
You
I
don't wanna
understand
ask for
that
help,
too, because that's
you
me.
know?
I don't wanna ask for help, especially if it's something that I'm really headstrong about doing, and, I wanna do it myself, and I feel bad asking for help. I feel bad, like, maybe I have failed, and, like, I don't like not being able to do something that I set my mind to do, so it's hard for me to ask for help.
Yeah.
To
So,
Yeah.
I would say it's pride, but I would say
Mhm.
I ministered a message a long time ago about a washing machine and how when a washing machine is off balance, you can tell because it starts knocking, 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 wonk, wonk, wonk. And when our life is off balance, we start doing that too. We start snapping. We're easily agitated. We're easily aggravated. We might be yelling. We might be fussing. And so when I see myself picking up more of those things and I know that I've got too much on my plate, and I either need to say, okay, God, what do I need to take off my plate in this season? What do I need to give away? What doesn't belong here? Or who do I need to talk to help me to carry this load? And if there's
Yeah,
something that I just simply cannot afford to put down at this time, then who can carry this while I'm carrying this over here?
yeah. Along that same line, what does self-care look like for an entrepreneur?
Sometimes self-care for an entrepreneur looks like just getting a good night's rest.
Mhm,
Sometimes it looks like being able to sleep in.
mhm.
For me now, as I'm getting older, self-care for me is making sure that I get moving, walking and exercising every day.
Yeah,
Just taking that time for me. Where I used to say that I didn't have time to do it, now I don't have time not to do it. Like I need
yeah,
for my mental and my physical health. So for me, it's not even, back in the day we would think, oh, it's a vacation or oh, it's going to get my nails done or oh, it's going to get my I don't even have no nails. Like this is not even a priority to me no more. I got the
yeah,
money, I can get my nails done, but it's not even a priority to me anymore.
yeah.
I'm so far over all of that. Like right now, being healthy, eating better, exercising, making better choices. Those are the self-care things that I need in my life right now. All this and that, I don't even need it anymore.
I hear you. I hear you. Now, we talked a little bit earlier. You were talking about knowing how to go with the season, not the season that you're in, as far as knowing when it's time to shift. One thing about me, when it comes to pursuing my passions and my dreams, I'm gonna try everything. I've done catering, decorating, painting. I've done administrative jobs. I even dabbled in sales a little bit. But at some point, I realized this job is not for me. It was good for a season, but it's just not for me anymore. When do you think it's a good time to give up or let go of a business or a dream?
When it's causing you your peace,
Mm, yeah.
um, when it could cost you your marriage,
Mm,
when it's costing you your family relationships,
yeah.
if it's taking more out of you, than you can give, it's not worth my family. I always say this is one thing I say about our ministry, and I pray it all the time. And I heard somebody preach the other week, and it was really in line with what I always pray. I always tell God that I don't want our church to grow any bigger than my family or my marriage can handle.
Ah, that's good. Yeah.
And so, what I mean by that is, I don't want it to I see, you know, people with 5,000 churches and then they get divorced. I don't want that.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so I don't want any business, not just ministry, but anything to be bigger than what my family or my marriage can handle. So
Yeah.
if my family can handle it and my marriage can handle it, then I'm okay, God. But I don't want anything to be at the expense of what you gave me. You gave me this husband, you gave me these children, and all these other things, some things I give to myself. So I don't want anything that I do to interfere with that. So if it's going to cost me my family, if it's going to cost me my marriage, if it's going to cost me my peace, if it's going to cost me my joy,
Mm,
it's to go.
yeah. Gotta
That,
go.
that's where I got to the point of when I was teaching because it was costing me my health. It was costing me myself. It was costing me my peace. It was costing me my joy. And it was costing me too much. So when the cost is too great, or even if it's a financial strain and a burden on your family and it's causing you to lose and to sink, then
Yeah.
maybe it's time to let go.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? I can't believe we're almost done. This has been so good. I can't wait to go back. Now I'm in host mode right now, but I'm going back and I'm getting my notebook out and doing my journaling. This has been so good. I do have one more question for you.
Uh-huh.
What do you say to the person that has lost their passion or even that may have yet to find it? And what steps do they need to take to get back on track and back to their purpose?
Well, since I am big on community, I would say that they need to get with people who are willing to take them under their wings to help them. Now, it's very hard to find people, I ain't even gonna lie,
Mhm.
who are willing to help you and teach you what they know. But there are people out there who are willing to take you under their wings and to show you the way and to teach you an easier way or a better way or get to studying. Like looking up everything on your own that you can. Nowadays, there's no reason for you not to know how to do anything
Yeah.
because the internet is smart and it has all the answers that you need. But I would say surround yourself with people who are successful and find people who've already got the t-shirt. They already got the t-shirt. They already got the hat.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Like you can learn from somebody else. I don't have a problem asking somebody, hey, I'm trying to learn I want to start a podcast and I want to know how to record. I would and have no problems at all calling you and say, hey, I want to start doing pre-recorded podcasts.
Mhm.
Can you teach me how you use Zoom to do that? I already have Zoom. Can you teach me how to use Zoom, how to go back and edit it and do all this and that? You got to be willing to lay aside your pride and ask for help. And you got to be willing to learn. That's what I would say.
That's good. That's good. Well, First Lady, this has been amazing. Again, I want to thank you so much for coming to the show and sharing your wisdom with us. Tell the people where they can find you online or where they can find out more information about your ministry and how they can connect to you.
So online, you can find our church, the Empowerment Ministries Christian Center on Facebook, Empowerment Ministries Christian Center on YouTube. You can find me, my website, my books, and my products, irenemagee.com. And you can find my real estate page there. You can get to my tax business page there. Everything you can get to from that particular link. I have 3 books that I've written. One telling my story, 2 journals, and I'm writing my 4th book right now that I plan to have out by my 50th birthday in July. So you can find
Awesome.
me.
Awesome. We'll be sure to list your links on the show notes. So they'll have that there. Well, thank you so much again for stopping by. Well, y'all, that is my time. This was so good. I hope y'all got something good out of this. Be sure to join us next week for another great episode. But in the meantime, I want you to be encouraged, be empowered, and be blessed. Peace, y'all.